name Point Blank came about when I was 17. High school, Isili High School, everybody had to find, like, there's this theme that the school has, which is industry and integrity. You have to be industrious and you have to have integrity as you do it. So you have to find your own way in the world. In my case, I decided, you know what, I want to be brutally honest with my art. I tried out a couple of names before that, but they didn't work. I called myself Kiraka Design, then DJ Kiraka showed up, that died. Called myself Brother Under God's Grace, but then that didn't work out either. So Point Blank, it just felt right because I wanted to be brutally honest with what I do, so Point Blank. Then since I noticed so many things called Point Blank, I then added Ivumbi at the end because that now gives it my signature, like now this is just me. So Point Blank Ivumbi came in high school because I wanted to find my own way in the world. I'm lucky enough to say I've been a part of WAPI since its very inception. WAPI, the British Council, when it came up with the idea of words and pictures for many visual artists to sit together and express themselves freely, you never had a chance to do that because the music industry and the art industry was really, it was a clique thing. Like, think in a way we're actually breaking those borders now. WAPI allowed us to make ourselves from scratch. So when I was called in, I was told, dude, we'd like you to give us ideas on maybe what other sketch artists would like to have at this event. So at 21, there I am, freestyling at a parking lot. Next thing you know, it's now. I've been rapping for 10 years now, and 7 years down the line from the beginning of WAPI. WAPI is now in 10 countries. We can't say we complain about success of that magnitude. Add that to the fact that I got to see and groom, if you will, a couple of talents. Like, I was there lucky enough. I had the privilege of watching guys like Octopizzo come up. I had the privilege of watching guys like Calligraph come up. I was honored enough to watch these people take form from the very beginning, when they were still graffiti artists and sketch artists, to then becoming actual artists to control the hit list in Kenya. That was my biggest gift. Add that to when there were the morning sections of WAPI, there never used to be any activity happening. We used to be just set up and then wait for 12 o'clock when you kick off everything else. So I went up to the board and told them, like, I'd like to have that morning slot to play around with it. And they said that there's no budget to actually facilitate it. I said, like, no problem, there's no need for a budget. I know what this thing will lead to. So in the early morning sessions, we decided, you know what, we're going to have ciphers. There's any rapper, it doesn't matter if you have a record or not. Just come on stage, grab the mic and rip it. Because this is my take on what a cipher should be. Don't call yourself an MC if you can't ride any beat. Don't call yourself an MC if you can't hype a crowd. Don't call yourself an MC if you can't really make such an impact that I'm flipping out from the fact that you opened your mouth the past few minutes. It is pointless to be a rapper and you haven't really been in enough ciphers. Those ciphers help you mold your skill. Because maybe you think like the first rap you wrote, maybe this is the way you're supposed to go, then you jump immediately into the industry without earning your stripes. Old school rappers like KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Kool Herc as a DJ, they know that MCs need at least 3-4 years of stripes in ciphers alone just to see how good you are before you started making records. Ciphers need to keep on happening so that before you bring some half-baked rap onto a record, we know how good you are. So give a person a cipher, he runs through all his written material. By the time his written material is done, his impulses will lead him to freestyle. So as a result of the cipher happening, I perfected my freestyle pattern. Next thing you know, guys are calling you Cypher King because you kept on running the ciphers. And then you run with it for so long, they tell you, okay, cool, clearly this is what rappers are supposed to do. So it even helped in the MC Africa titles that came in much after, because if a category was created where you're supposed to cipher, and you have rappers who can go for 3 hours non-stop, basically you've made a perfect MC. So being called Cypher King by the WAPI crowd was just a blessing to me, because they just told me that, okay, we see you're doing something right. So keep pushing at it, and if you have, anytime there's a cipher, we'll just borrow from one another what skill is. So that's why the Cypher King came in. Yeah. In 2009, I got to fulfill something that I had failed at in 2008. 2008 came the very first MC Africa challenge. I mean, it came in when many rappers we're all about freestyling, but we've never really been given a chance to go on an international battle. I mean, in 2008, I came out, I think, second last because I made the fatal mistake of using a Swahili word. These were the rules. The rules were don't cuss, don't use a tongue that is not English. So I messed up by saying Swahili words and I got disqualified. But when 2009 came, I felt like there was no way I can't win this. I had no doubt in my mind I'd be the guy representing Kenya. So when I got the chance to fly to South Africa, I mean, I always envy athletes when they go to different countries to represent their flag. Now here I am, as a rapper, carrying the Kenyan flag. I'm representing my country as an MC. And then getting to South Africa, hanging out with the other MCs, then flying to, going to Gaborone, Botswana for the finals. My funniest moment was when I got on stage and they gave us a topic where they said, rhyme the letters A to Z subliminally, and I just started rapping, and Nato C thought I wrote my rhymes down. And luckily, Proverb didn't approve of just me being sidelined, but then when they gave me a second chance to prove myself, they realized, okay, cool, maybe I'm just that nice with it. So MC Africa, 2009, still a crown I'm glad I still hold. I was Kenyan champ then, hasn't been a battle since, so I think I'm still a reigning champion, if you will. Who knows? My biggest influences in Kenyan music, MC Brayo of Ka and Brayo from when I was still in, I think, Form 1, Form 2, when the first hip-hop songs were coming out, on the days of Keishaka, when they were really taking form from 98, moving forward. So Kalamashaka, as a fact, no hip-hop artist can walk in this country and say, I love hip-hop, and you didn't get at least a scratch of influence from Keishaka. So I got a lot from that. Uko Flani, when they did Kilio Chahaki, that was a big influence on me. Bamboo and Doobies, when K-South dropped the Nairobism album. In fact, Nairobism would have to be my favorite album. The track Jamani just flips me out every time. Then Kentai also was a big influence at the very onset. So I'd say those are just but a few influences I have right now. But the beautiful thing is I don't really draw influences only from the old school cats. There's some new cats who really, really influenced me. Like I bumped into a kid, I think it was 13 or 12 at the time. I'm not really sure. And he told me that he liked how I do my thing. And then when I heard him rhyme, I became a fan of his faster than he was a fan of mine, if you will. A kid called KTK. Right now he's a part of a group called Beatbox, and I see them making really big waves. And I say Godspeed to him too. Art has always been that one, my purest expression has always been art. From the age of 10, I used to, like when we were at church with mom, the pastor would preach something and I'd probably have like a sketch pad with me. I'll probably sketch what I got from the service and I'll give it to the pastor right after. In primary school, I'd draw so many pieces on what the, on what the teacher would teach you at a certain lesson. I mean, yes, my grades were not really worth looking at, but I'd give teachers illustrations and they'd always tell my dad, please take him to an art school, please take him to an art school. Then I went to Eastleigh High School where I had a good art course, and I know I didn't make it to campus, so I found my own way immediately after high school. So art is blood, guts, it's my drive, my being, as in I was called to this earth to be an artist. There are certain things in this life that are just a conviction. If you're an artist, you are cursed to have one or two things, either A, go crazy, B, be the best. You're only as good as the last good drawing you did, so you're constantly in competition with yourself. Art allows me to be competitive, it allows me to be influential, it allows me to make money, so I wouldn't complain when I say art is everything I am. When Kenya Music Week started out, I don't know if it was the first or the second, or it was 2004 December. It was like, I was at a crossroad at that time. I've just finished high school, still trying to find my way. I'd already just dropped off my portfolio at Insider Magazine, and I found out about this thing called Kenya Music Week, where all the local artists you've always wanted to meet will be at one spot at the same time. That's a dream come true for a person who loved music ever since they were 12. So I made my way there, just having this gut feeling, because I had a couple of coins in my pocket. I didn't have enough cash to actually get back home from there, but I just told myself, oh, let's see what happens. And I had a sketch pad. I always had a backpack with a sketch pad in it. And I saw my favorite artists. All my favorite artists were there, from Mercy Myra to K-South to Koflani to Attitude. You're seeing all these MCs and all these singers around. And as a fan, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to sketch your favorite artist just to go show appreciation, maybe get an autograph. I didn't think anything would come from it, but when Mercy Myra saw my sketch, she told me, okay, tell you what, I will autograph this, but I'll give you 200 shillings if you make me a sketch. So this is 200 shillings, and I had like, what, 5 shillings in my pocket? Dashed out, did a sketch of Mercy Myra, brought it back. She gave me 200 shillings, and she told me, okay, do one of Attitude. And I did. Then Bamboo did the same, and then okay, I just ended up leaving the place with like 1,000 shillings off of the fact that, okay, people like what I do. And this was fresh out of high school, so Kenyan Music Week kind of paved a lot of ways for me. So big up to them for doing that. In my rise in life, art-wise, I was able to get my dream job as an artist in 2009 as well. Actually late 2008, 2009, 2010. I got to work for a project that Disney was going to show on the Disney TV channel called Tinga Tinga Tales. Art allowed me to work on Tinga Tinga Tales, which was the first time you get to sit down with actual professional artists and animators who were from Kenya. I mean, we didn't even know about each other prior to being in that workspace. Yes, we did spend a lot of time working on that, but that was my biggest highlight in art. I got to really work with those great animators on such a project for those 2 years. Another highlight in art would have to be me meeting the Prince of England when I met Prince Edward, and he actually autographed a drawing for me, which I made of him. Meeting Jaru, and actually sketching him as well. Every person that I met as a result of art, that was a highlight for me. As far as hip hop goes, MC Africa was my biggest step up. Being a representative of my country as an MC, that was a big highlight for me. And also, as a student of 2D animation at Shangtown Media Arts College, the principal of the college actually saw a couple of things I did on TV interviews and Straight Up, and he called me up and told me that he wanted to sit down. And then he said, I see you're very eloquent, I see you can speak comfortably in front of a crowd, and you can speak comfortably in front of people, and you were very good in 2D animation. How about you become a lecturer of animation here? Now, you've just cleared there, and then you're being offered the chance to teach there on one thing that you were really good at. I jumped at the opportunity. It was a job, and I was 21. That's a good stripe to have. Plus, it's something that I wanted to share with my dad. My dad was a teacher of mathematics and physics when he was 21. I was a teacher of animation at 21. So it's one of those family relation type things. So, and as a teacher, I really enjoyed myself. I enjoyed imparting knowledge. It was a very, very fun experience for me. I'd probably go back to it, who knows? Bilson Productions is part of a company called Bilson Kenya Limited, which is it has two partners, like mostly members of my family. We sat down and we said, like, we love doing certain things, and we'd like a company that would allow us to do all the things we want to do. And I always wanted to do comic books, I always wanted to do animations, I always wanted to do music videos, all these things. And I needed a perfect platform to allow myself to do everything I've wanted to do. I finally have a comic book company that's going to allow me to launch my products. In fact, September, I'm launching my first 2 comic books that are going to be monthly runs. And any other publication that I believe in, many other artists who I'll come across as time goes by, once the company gets stronger. I look forward to being the first Kenyan publisher of local comic books every step of the way. That's Bilson Productions. Our whole idea is making the one thing that all young people wish they could do actually come to life. We constantly complain about how we don't have enough representation in lectures and in publications, yet we wouldn't take the time to actually do it. So I'm actually putting my money where my mouth is now. Bilson Productions is actually going to give products to the Kenyan market that they will embrace and love it as time goes by. My next move in the music industry, I'm working on getting my album to happen next year. There's a mixtape I'm supposed to drop in December. It was actually supposed to drop in June, but we pushed it forward because I'm currently in negotiations to get a record deal with 2 big records. If that comes to life, then the project will be put under that. If it doesn't, I'll just launch it myself. My next move is to just completely flood the game with my music. People have complained about they don't have enough content by local rappers. Well, you'll have a couple of albums to deal with thanks to your boy. I'll take care of everybody. My first big hit was a collaboration I did with, like if I was to say my first big hit as a collaboration, it would have to be a song I did with G-Con, a song called Nikofiti. In fact, the whole song was born out of the idea of like we've been ciphering too long and we've never really recorded a track together. So Nikofiti was my first real big party mover per se. But my personal first hit came in January of this year. It was a track I did on my first mixtape called Pizza and Soda. I actually didn't want to remove so many tracks, but I released that first track simply because my little sister loved it. She said that's the one that's gonna get you somewhere. And clearly she wasn't wrong, so I think I'll listen to my little sister more often. Pizza and Soda and Nikofiti way back when.
One, two, come on. Weekend music. 99 degrees. Let's show you how the Emperor does it. Check it out. Yo, listen. How the story began. It was the Saturday evening and we had nothing to hold on the ground. Big Mike was already kicking it dope. He already had some beats and the food was all gone. Yo, I do know what happens when the green gets in. The munchies can kick out and the hunger will just strike in. Yo, but I don't smoke, I was just simply hungry. So we had to go out to get some munchies to be sorted out. So the food was always on the court. So we decided to find a way to oil it beer, of course. And as far as that goes, they will always get the food right. And this is what happens whenever we get it to kill the tide. So this is what I consider the perfect use of a Saturday. Riding low with pizza and soda. No reason ladies can't kick it because we got plenty made. We're gonna do this till the weekend is over. So this is what I consider the perfect use of a Saturday. Riding low with pizza and soda. No reason ladies can't kick it because we got plenty made. We gon' do this till the weekend is over. Damn, this Parkland's traffic making shit the old team when we kicking it, damn it. Matter of fact, so to pass time, decide to blast the beats out. This is how we freestyle with the windows rolled down. Plus, we already been doing how the sound of vowels is making. And we're talking about the girlies on the side, they faking. Talking about they like their boyfriends more than us, and we could tell by the looks that they're giving us, they be liking us. And so, they decided to ride with us, follow us as a convoy all the way to the place where we getting our munchies sorted out. To get our food served up and eaten up like we would never count. And as far as the money goes, we already paid. Got plenty of shillings in our pockets we never saved. In fact, we burn all through our money because of food. And this is what happens every time we get into the groove. Let's go. See, this is what I consider the perfect use of a Saturday. Riding low with pizza and soda. No reason ladies can't kick it because we got plenty made. We gon' do this till the weekend is over. See, this is what I consider the perfect use of a Saturday. Riding low with pizza and soda. No reason ladies can't kick it because we got plenty made. We gon' do this till the weekend is over.